Hello, it's Two Girls, One Pod. It's our Thursday episode, which means there are two girls on the pod, me and another girl. And you know what? Everyone knows that I have this thing about using the word girls for women, but somehow have an entire podcast called Two Girls. Should be called Two Women. But this is a very interesting one because I want to talk to my guest this week about that a little bit later. But let me introduce you to her first. Her name is Erin Barnett.
Hello.
Hello. You listening may know Erin from Love Island. But did you know before Love Island she was on Beauty and the Geek? I didn't know that because I don't watch Beauty and the Geek, but I was a massive fan of Love Island. And most recently, she appeared on Channel 10's I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, which I have as well. So that's something that we're going to talk about. And Erin is also an ambassador for Endometriosis Australia. And she's also written a book called Endo Unfiltered. Welcome, Erin. Thank you so much for giving us your precious time to be on my beautiful podcast. Welcome.
Oh, thank you. I'm actually so excited for this podcast. I listen to it all the time. So now that I'm a guest, I'm like, oh, I've made it. I've made it.
Good. Yay. Well, we're just getting through the list of fabulous women. And you've been on the list since the very beginning when they asked me, who do you want on? And I'm like, this. So we're just getting, and it's so wonderful that you are here because I have wanted to chat. Like you and I have little chats on DMs and everything. I absolutely adore you on Instagram because of your honesty. I have to say when I watched Love Island, I was no.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was a lot, but obviously still really, really loved watching it. Then you got out and I watched you as yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And just your upfrontness is something that makes me laugh and I kind of rally for because I really am all about women speaking up for themselves. And whenever you would get a bit of trolling or anything, you're just so good with it. Like, you know, you clap back
Yes.
very well.
Oh, thank you.
So I really like that. When you're on Love Island, it's such an odd show, isn't it?
Mm.
It's an odd – you have to get around in your cozies all the time,
Yes.
number one. And you pit it against people and then they really kind of prey on your vulnerabilities, which look to me, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but look to me like your vulnerabilities were jealousy,
Mm-hmm.
people taking your man or having that kind of threat of competition, and they played on that quite a bit. So there was a few meltdowns from you. And also at your partner on the show, like, but you were so young, and that's the other thing about these shows is they get these young adults who haven't regulated their emotions and feelings, and then they just put them on TV. Like they just get a camera and go, just go for it, and you've got a producer agreeing with everything you say. So you're just made to. Do you agree with that?
Yes. So I already have a very bad struggle with my hormonal imbalance. So you put me on a show with other women and I think it was just, number one, I came out of a relationship where I was cheated on. So a lot of my relationships I was always cheated on. So I went in there just hating women for being close to someone that I thought I was in love with or that I liked, and it was a jealous thing, and I wasn't shy to show that I was jealous, and I said some nasty things and that, but the worst part about it was all on camera. So we've all had a moment in our past where you might have said something to your partner about a girl or something, but there just wasn't cameras around. And I've seen some snippets of the things that I've said and I cringe because I think, why did I say that? But in the moment, you're just so angry. And then when you go down to the hut or whatever it was called on Love Island, you know, when the producers would be talking to you, they would be like, it's almost encouraging. So you're like, they love this. And then you're like, okay, so
absolutely,
what I'm doing is okay then because I'm not getting told off for it. And, you know, when I came out, everyone was like, oh, she's just so jealous, this and that. And when I look back, it's actually disgusting, some of the stuff that I said. But when you're that mad and you've been through past relationships where they put you down and they've made you feel insecure, you project that so bad. And when it's on national TV, you realise how bad that is. And I was 22. I was only 22.
Yeah, well, it shapes you. Yeah, 22. And it shapes you how you've been treated in past relationships to how you go forward into relationships. And until you, I guess in a way, you got a really harsh but quick lesson of how you behave in relationships and what you wanted to change about yourself in relationships. A lot of people don't get that opportunity. So there's, ups and downs in all of these things, but seeing it would be so confronting.
Yeah.
But in a good way if you can take it on, because I'll tell you right now, you had the biggest change of anyone that I've seen on TV own their own shit and go, I'm this is where that comes from, and I'm going to, obviously grow up.
Yes.
Like, you look at people on maths and things now and they come out and they double down.
Oh, they're worse.
They double down on it. And it's like, where's the reflection? They're worse.
Yeah.
And it's such a shame, because you were the perfect example of showing how someone can be and behave and go, oh, I recognize this behavior as pretty toxic.
Yeah.
And it's something that I'm going to work on.
And I said to people when I came out, obviously you're in denial. Well, when I first came out of the show, I remember you have to see a psychologist. He was amazing. And he just said to me, just don't read the comments. And that was the first thing that flagged to me that I didn't actually realize how much was on TV, because it was only aired, it was a 24-hour turnover. So it was pretty much live. And so when I got out and I would see everything, and now that I'm 28 now, but I think to myself, we've all been in situations like that, and I would take some things back, but you don't realize how the cameras are there because they're on the walls and that all the time. So you just are being yourself, and you forget there's not actually always a camera crew in front of you. So when I look back, I think to myself, that's like embarrassing, and I would never do that in my life now again, because if someone didn't make me feel a certain way, I wouldn't chase that person, or I wouldn't try and hold on to them so much. And, I said that when I got out, that, my behaviour wasn't great and it was bad on my point, but everyone's been in the same situation in one time in their life.
More than one time in their life. Like I often say at my age, because I didn't have social media when I was the age where you make so many faux pas, and so like you just say so many wrong things and act in such ways that I count my stars that no one has any evidence of it.
I know.
And that's really hard today, because we're constantly filming ourselves, filming each other. It's everyone's got a phone. Everyone can record anything, any behavior that's happening. And that can be a really good thing, but it can also be extremely damaging if you're having a bad day.
Yeah. And because I came from Beauty and the Geek, which was when I was fresh 18, and then like that was just I don't know, not a boring TV show, but it didn't really go off, and I wasn't really famous or anything from it. So I thought that's what Love Island was going to be like. So I didn't really have in the back of my head just how big this was going to be. So obviously I learnt from that. But like you said, everything is recorded these days. Everyone has a phone. Like you can't get away with anything. Like, and you don't even know who's recording you or what they're doing, but everyone's got their phone out these days. So, back then, I reckon everyone's lucky they didn't have mobile phones.
Well, yeah, lucky, but at the same time, it kind of keeps you in check a bit when you think, is someone going to record, like, am I behaving really badly? It makes you second think.
It actually does.
You do have that kind of, you can put that, still people behave so badly. Like, I can't believe the videos of, like, I get so obsessed with this guy, Tizzy Ent, on TikTok. He's got this where he basically just calls out people who are Karening, I guess, that, or just behaving really badly, and he puts it out to his millions of followers. Let's find this person and get them fired.
Oh my God, I've seen that.
I'm absolutely, yes.
And he finds them so quickly.
He does, because the internet is an amazing place. And within hours sometimes he'll come back and go, we found him. But there's a woman called Aunt Karen on TikTok as well, and she does the same thing. They are so good at what they do, but they only really do this to people who truly, truly have done pretty horrific things. Like there'll be racial slurs and, physically and that kind of thing.
Yes.
So I'm kind of good with that. The rest of it, let us be ourselves a little bit sometimes. People think that you've got to be really nice all the time, and especially you would know this now, especially I'm the same. In the public eye, you don't want to be rude when you're in a bad mood, just in case. You're like, oh, I don't want that coming back to bite me in the ass,
I know.
Yelling out at someone while I'm driving, like, come on,
I know.
Why are you taking so long to turn?
I know, and I was worried because when I came out of Love Island, so much, like, obviously it changed for me because people obviously knew my name all of a sudden. And one thing I was really cautious about was if I was out in public with, like, my nephews, I didn't want to get photos or anything. I didn't want to make them feel weird because they were really young too, and they didn't obviously know what was happening. So I did get a couple people message me after they had seen me somewhere and said that I was quite rude because they would ask for a photo and I would say, oh, sorry, no, I'm just with my nephews. And then they would post something saying I was nasty or I was a bitch, and I'd be like,
oh, yeah, that's a shame.
And I'd be like, I didn't really care. But at the time it's like people just don't understand. Like if you're having a really bad day, you don't have to be so nice all the time.
No, that's right. And because no one is. I mean, and if you are, what's wrong?
Yeah.
Those
what
people
meds
are
they
just
on?
Uber happy all the time. Like, what is going on? Because I always find the nice, like the people who just are always happy and always positive, you get to know them and they can bitch more than any.
I know.
So then the really good thing after Love Island was that you kind of got to redeem yourself, because when you went into the jungle, that's when I watched and I was like, oh, I don't know about this one. Like, what she's going to be like. Is she going to go everyone? Like, no, you got to talk about things, and you had a beautiful cast on that as well. Like you had Miff.
Yeah.
And
we had Rhonda.
Yeah. Just beautiful people who you got to talk about your endometriosis. You got to talk about the fact that you won't ever have children. And that was a really big thing for me to watch a young woman talk about on Australian TV. How was that representation for you? Were you happy with, what you saw yourself on there with?
Yeah, I was
done. What?
I gotcha. English.
Sorry.
Yeah, it was. I was really happy, and there was some negative feedback when I was out, and I read the comments of people saying I whinged too much about the food and all that. But I was 100% genuinely myself. Like I loved that everyone saw me for me. They saw me without makeup. I wasn't always wearing bikinis, and I was just being my genuine self and having really good conversations that meant something. And it was really, really nice. But I was completely myself. And when I was voted out, I totally understood, because I got to the point where all I was doing was sleeping. I was just sleeping. Yeah. I was so tired, and I didn't really want to be part of any like social activities happening. I was happy just to sleep nearly 20 hours of the day.
Oh, I know what that was like. I slept for the majority of my time in there, and I only got to where I got at the end, and the producers told me, was because when I was awake for that 1 hour, I was on. Like I'd really be on, and they would like, you gave us what we needed. So it looked like I was awake way more, but I think they even did a montage of how much I slept. No,
because they even said to me at one point that, oh, get more involved in the conversations, Erin. They love you when you do this. And I was like, unless I get food, unless you bring me like a Big Mac or something, I'm not going to play for these cameras anymore. Like in the jungle, you would be the same. There was monkeys throwing their poo and stuff at us, and they were urinating above you. So I was at the point where I was like, I've had enough. Okay. Like I want food and I want a roof.
You're going to say I want a root.
No, and that.
And then I need a fucking orgasm. Get me out of here.
That
for
was
Christ's
it.
sake.
That was the line.
I mean, there was 24 hours a day on camera. It's a lot.
Yes.
It's a lot. You can't do anything that, you would normally do in the privacy of yourself.
But what got me the most is when I was talking about my endometriosis story, Miguel was there, and he's one that won it. I love him. Yeah. He got emotional. And I was like, I didn't realize that this was such a emotional topic. And he just, when I watched it back when I got home, and he was talking to the camera about and he was getting upset, and he's like, this young woman. And I was like, I didn't realize that it's a sad topic for some people, or it's sad for them. For me, but it wasn't. I'm not sad about it.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Why is it not sad for you that you won't have children?
Well, I think because I had my hysterectomy on the 27th of June, 2023, and that I've still got my right ovary. But before that, when I was young, I was always having these surgeries, and I was always having problems with my ovaries. And it got to the point where when I think about my reproductive organs, I don't think children. I think pain. I think suffering. So yes. I didn't want a child because that was the back of my head. So eventually my emotions were just like, well, this is just it. This is just life. And I couldn't think at the time, I just couldn't think of anything worse than pushing for something that just wasn't meant to be. And everyone's like, you okay with it? How does it make you feel? Are you sad? And I'm like, no, even my partner would say does it ever pass your mind about children and that, you can't have them? It's okay to be sad about it. And I'm like, I'm really not. So then I think, should I see a psychologist because I'm not sad about this? It's more happy because the pain is gone. So, I don't need to have a child to be a woman.
No, I'm really glad that we're having this kind of conversation, because I don't have any reproductive problems, but I've never wanted children, and people would never, there was never I guess the fact that you couldn't have children, you didn't want children, they don't have to be mutually exclusive. Mm-hmm. They can exist together. For me, it was a choice not to have children because I didn't want children. I didn't think I'd be a very good mother. And I find that there are too many children in the world that we probably shouldn't be having so many children. But that's just my personal opinion. So when you just answered the way you did, that's exactly what I thought would be the reason. The fact that you were so young when you started having so many surgeries, and anything to do with your reproductive system just meant to you pain, and you were so young. No one young thinks about all I want to, unless you are that person, all I want to do is have children. I can't wait to have children and be a mum, and everything about my life will be all about having children. And there are some people that are like that, but there are so many women who are not like that.
Yeah. And
you still may get to an age where you were like, I really am sad now that I never got to have children. But you may never, and probably will never, because I never did. I never got to. I'm at 51 and I'm still not going. I would actually love grandchildren, to be honest, because then I've overstepped that one little part. I'm like, maybe I should date a man who's got
back.
adult children, and then I can have some. Yes, give them back, because I look at parenting as one of the most excruciating jobs.
Yes.
Very rewarding, but excruciatingly hard jobs that I don't want to be a part of. I love to sleep too much. But you do have a partner now who has children.
Yes, I do. So I've been with...
So you're a mum.
Yeah, so technically a stepmom, but I don't like to use those terms because I feel like, because he is 19 years older than me, I feel like I'm more of a cool aunt that his kids tell me everything that they would not tell their mum and they will not tell their dad, and they come to me and we have to try and figure out a solution and different wording so that we can go tell their father what has just happened if it's something bad, or if you know how kids are when they run to their auntie knows everything. So I feel like I'm more that, and I don't really have the, I don't know, motherly instincts of, I never step on the toes of mixed kids' mother. So, you know, if they want to if the girls, he's got 2 girls and a son. So, you know, first everything. So if the girls want to go Deb dress shopping or something like that, that is the mum's, you know, and then I can have whatever's left. And I'm okay with that because I didn't come into the world, into mixed world to become a mother. So I didn't choose him because I'm like, kids, perfect. That's what I want. So it's been great. And, to watch them grow up too has been really good, but it's not I don't like to be called a stepmom from them, or they don't call me that, and I just say I'm your dad's partner and hopefully soon wife if he doesn't hurry up. I know he better hurry up. But yeah, so it's been really good. So I haven't missed out on the parent motherhood kind of thing, but also it's made me realize a lot of things when people say to you, or you see videos where they say, oh, you don't know real love or true love till you've held your own kid in your arm and stuff. And I think that's where people get it wrong. And I think the shock is it's more shocking for people to hear you say you don't want kids or you can't have kids than it is for you yourself to say it. They're actually more like, but why? Are you sure? You might change your mind. Is your partner okay with it? And it's more like I feel like I have to emotionally support them through my answers because they can't deal with what's happening to me.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. I mean, it's so often in so many circumstances like that where, you know, you lose a partner or you lose a parent and people can't reconcile how you're still functioning.
Yeah.
And you just do. Like it's such a bigger shock on the other people that haven't experienced it than it is for you, because I guess us as humans, we're just survivors. We find our ways through things to, you know, still get up out of bed every day, and then all of a sudden things are not as bad as you imagined they would be. You know, you're walking in those footsteps, all of a sudden you're like, well, I'm still surviving. Like I'm actually thriving.
Yes.
But let's talk about your hysterectomy. So, because that is something, my friend has just had a hysterectomy, and she was 37. So not just like 3 years ago now. And she is in a same-sex relationship and never wanted children, neither of them, but the amount and really bad endometriosis and PMDD. And she was never allowed to have one. And she finally, through, I think, contacts, got a great gynecologist here in Melbourne. And the first appointment, the gyno looked at her stuff and said, would you like a hysterectomy? And she was just like,
crying.
Yes, I would. Like that was the first question. And that's how it should be. What do you want to do with your body? I mean, I know, and you're the age where she would have been getting the nose for years and years and years. Another decade later, someone finally says, you know, other doctors were still saying, oh, you're still too young. What if you change your mind? So what was your story with that?
So it took me, I asked for a hysterectomy when I came out of Love Island. I think I had a really bad cyst rupture or something at the start of 2019. And that's when I was like, oh, take it out. Like, I've had many of these, just take it all out. And they were like, no. And it was just a battle of seeing all different new gynos, because I would have that many surgeries with one. They would be like, I don't want to operate on you anymore. So then they would put me to someone else, and then it was just finding another gynecologist, and then they would say, oh, we'll remove this cyst, we'll take out your left ovary, and then it was like your left fallopian tube, and then I was like, just take it all out while you're in there. And then I would go back, and the only reason they found out how bad my endometriosis was growing was because I would have cyst ruptures that bad that I would need surgery. So they would go in for the cyst, but then they would be like, oh, your endometriosis has grown back. But it wasn't just from that. It was from really shitty surgeons that didn't do their job right. And I've had many things happen. I've had a surgeon leave undissolvable stitches wrapping around my ovary, which they still don't know how it happened. Maybe they said that one just didn't dissolve because it was dissolvable, but it was just crazy. I've been opened up before with a really large cyst where a gyno just told me, it's just an enlarged ovary because she's getting a period, when in fact it was a dermoid cyst, so it had hair and skin inside of it, and they're really large. So many medical errors that got me to the point where
Oh my God.
I was begging for a hysterectomy. And then I saw Dr. Martin Healy last year, and he did say yes at the start. And then he said, I want you to go see a psychiatrist. I want you to go see another surgeon that he recommended to see a second opinion, and then come back. The surgeon that he recommended, I saw her and she didn't agree with the hysterectomy. The psychiatrist agreed that I was mentally stable to make that decision. And what annoyed me was I had to go be assessed that I would be okay not being a mother. But anyone, when you're pregnant, your doctor doesn't say, okay, before that, I'm going to go get you psych tested to make sure you're going to be a good mum. But I had to be psych tested to make sure that I'd be okay not having kids. And that just has always stayed in my head as that's ridiculous. But apparently it's because many women come back and say, why did you do this? I want kids now. But I was saying to every surgeon, I will sign any contract you have to say that I agree with this, because in the cosmetic world, you can get your boobs done, nose job, anything, and the doctors can say to you, if we do this, your nose will collapse, but do you want to go ahead with it? And you're like, yep, sign on the dotted lines, and they still do it. But as a woman with your reproductive organs, you can't do that. And on this topic, my partner was just telling me the other day that he was talking to one of his friends that went in to go get, is it called a vasectomy? And it's just in the chair, and he's like, you wouldn't believe it. He went in, asked for it, and they got it like that, and there was all these young kids there. And I said, I'm sorry, what? Did they have to go through any process in that? And he's like, no, not really. It was kind of like the same day thing. And he's like, there was heaps of young people. And I'm like, could you imagine if we as women said, can you tie my tubes? And they say, what for? And you go, oh, just cause. They would never do that. So I was actually annoyed, and I started yelling at him, not that he was the problem, but he was the only male near me that I could argue with. So
it really is such a patriarchal world, and especially when it comes to our reproductive systems, because obviously just not all women have reproductive systems. There are trans men who still have these things, and what they're going through would be insanity, like just the way they would be being spoken to and the language that would be being used. But it comes down to what you just said, that we'd never do this to men. And the way we police women's bodies, because we are still looked at as breeding machines.
Yes.
At the end of the day, that's what we are.
Yes.
And we are still, that is the most important thing that we can offer this world that we live in. And the world that we live in is designed to really position men in the top of the hierarchy. And the fact that we have so many women's health issues that are only just coming to the surface of results and studies, like studies having results come out now, because we, up to 20 years ago, they weren't even doing studies on women's health because we just weren't important enough to do them. And now that the results are coming out, so that's like, oh, we've got PMDD. Never heard of this. You know, PCOS and endometriosis and
adenomyosis.
I can never.
It took me a while. Yeah.
All of these things are so relatively new in our vocabulary, and to be talking about having a diagnosis of them, this has been around forever.
Yeah.
Forever. As long as there have been women, there has been
adenomyosis.
That one.
Just say ado.
And endo, PCOS, PMDD, premenstrual tension, all of the things, post-menstrual, like post-maternal things like these. I can't believe that we haven't been studied so much more importantly, like just how incredibly interesting and fascinating our bodies are. Why have they not been placed at the absolute tip of the medical triangle.
Yeah, I know.
Like we're it.
And
we're the womb is everything.
It is.
So
we grow the people.
Why aren't you studying it more?
But also, like, heaps of more, like, I love that there's more studies and that coming out, but sometimes it still leads to about women having kids. So I did see that there was this recent study and centre open for endometriosis, and a lot of people did contact me about it saying, this is exciting. And I wasn't really that keen on it, only because when I saw it on Channel 9, it was about how to help women with endometriosis have children. And I was like, that's great. How about helping women with endometriosis with their pain and suffering, and can we do anything else? But it was mainly focused. It was mainly focused on, well, I had endometriosis for 9 years. I never thought I could have kids, and now I've got triplets. And that was like what it was about. And I was like, that annoyed me, because I know it's progress, but it's not the progress that it's still about women having kids.
No, can we just fix women with endo, women or people who have endo? Full stop.
Yes.
I can't believe that there is not a way to find endo without surgery. If that was happening to men,
I know,
there would be a machine built by NASA within a week.
Oh, yeah,
to be able to see it.
Absolutely. And I've still got my right ovary, so I have battled to get it out, and they won't take it out. And because then obviously I've still got PCOS. And after my hysterectomy, they did a biopsy of my uterus, which showed that I also did have adenomyosis, which I knew because they told me that it looks like you've got endometriosis in your uterus lining, in the tissue, but obviously they can't confirm it until they do a biopsy. So that made a lot of sense of why I was in pain. But I really want my ovary out because I have PCOS really bad. Before endo came along in my life, it was just the PCOS. And about 2 weeks ago, I had a cyst rupture. And
yeah, I saw that you had a cyst rupture recently, because I was thinking, I thought she was good, but no,
I know.
You've still got an ovary, so you're still going to have ovary problems.
Yeah, so then I'm back.
I wish I could take it out for you.
I've been YouTubing videos and nothing is helping. I'm like, is it possible? I'm thinking I can do this.
I just wish I could get in there and go, just get this one last one out and let's go. Because it should be your choice.
I know,
completely your choice.
I've spoken to my surgeon about it, because when I called him, because I went to the Epworth Hospital in Melbourne, because that's where he is. That's where I had surgery, so it's a private hospital. And then my partner rushed me there, and I was like screaming in pain. And they gave me all the drugs, and I was fine. Did the internal ultrasound. So having an internal ultrasound when you've had a cyst rupture it feels wrong. It doesn't feel legal.
Yeah, because that's with the big
the big probe.
Wand,
yeah, and
that's invasive.
Yeah, so then
at the best of times.
So they did that, and they said, cyst rupture with some internal bleeding. So what happens is the blood and fluid from the cyst rupture will just get absorbed into my body naturally, but it's a very painful thing over a week or two. So it's only started feeling better. And when he called me about it, I just said, so when are we taking it out? And he's like, we won't. There has to be a really big reason. If he wants to try and get my hormones under control with medication. He said that hopefully he doesn't have to take the ovary out, but the reasoning is I'll be at risk of cardiovascular disease, your lifespan will be shortened, and you just have a lot of issues with your bones and all these medical conditions that can happen when you're on hormone replacement tablets if you don't have to be. And apparently getting you on the right hormone replacement tablets is what causes the body to get worse over time, because they'll give you too much testosterone or not enough estrogen. And so by the time they find the right dose for you, you might be all over the place, like mentally as well. So that's what he was worried about at my age. But I said to him, if you could guarantee me that, say I died at 67 or 65, 100% if you take the ovary out, you'll die at 65, but you'll never experience pain again, I would take that at 19 years old. I would be like, that's perfect for me. I would love to do that. So, because with a cyst rupture, you don't know when it's happening, and you actually don't know when it's coming on, and you don't know, and it ruins everything. And it just really frustrates me that I probably won't get the ovary out till, he said minimum 35, 40, he might consider it. Oh. And I was like, so how many cyst ruptures do I need to have until, you take it out. And it was more about it's more about the medication. Just so now I'm just back on the pill trying to regulate my ovary because I don't have a uterus or anything. So what happens is the egg just goes into my body. But the problem with my eggs is that they turn into cysts. That's the problem with them.
Oh my God. Like the things that he's told you, really relevant, fear kind of things that, we should be worried about. But the fact that he tells you that and then you make the decision, that's how it should play out. You've just said, it was a perfect example of what you said. If you told me I was only going to live to 65 and I was not going to have these kind of pains anymore, I would take that option. That should be an option.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, is it not about quality of life than quantity of life? I mean, what kind of a life are you going to live where you're in that much pain all the time that you want to die?
Yeah. And because it happened so suddenly, and I luckily, like, my partner was home because I couldn't even walk and I couldn't even get the words out of what was happening. And what happened the night before, one of my good friends had a surprise wedding. He got married and I was having the best time of my life. And then we got home. So I was drunk, but then we got home and I was like, oh, I'm in a bit of pain. And then I was like, oh, and I had painkillers at home, but I know you can't mix alcohol with the pain medication, so I didn't take them. Yeah. But I got my partner to get me a hot water bottle mixed between a boiling, without any cover on it, it's just boiling hot water bottle. I put that straight on my skin, and then I was also drunk, so I fell asleep for about 4 hours. So from 2 till about 5 o'clock or 7 o'clock, I woke up screaming, like in agony. I took the pain medication, nothing was happening. So he was like freaking out, took me to the hospital. And then when they did a head to toe assessment, and I didn't even notice, they lifted up my stomach. I actually had blisters all on my belly with like fluid and pus in them. I didn't realize I had actually burnt myself, like where they were like, oh, what's that? And I said, oh, and it was in like the shape of the lid of the hot water bottle because I was pressing it up against my skin. And then they were like, did you not feel that? And I said, listen, I would set myself on fire. I was in that much pain, like anything to distract yourself. So, it's a terrible thing, and it frustrates me to think that if it happens again, I have to go to the hospital because I have to get the stronger pain medications. And they saw me straight away though, which was I was just like, walked in, they saw me, they gave me, I had so many people around me at once because I was leaning over. They gave me an anti-inflammatory injection in my arm, which I've never had before. They gave me IV Panadol. Then they gave me IV fluids, fentanyl, endone, and something else I can't remember. And that was in a space of 30 minutes because I was like, I walked in there and I was like, I've had 2 endone, I'm in a lot of pain, I've had a cyst rupture. And everyone was like, are you sure it's not kidney stones? And they were trying to tell me, and I just kept saying, it's a cyst, but I was swearing. I'm like, it's a cyst rupture. Take the thing out of me. The poor nurses that were there. And also then I lost my voice because I had laryngitis. So I was trying to yell and I was whispering.
Oh my God. This is just, it's such an I mean, you're laughing about it because,
because it happens all the time. And do you know what I hate?
Yeah, it happens all the time.
Is I know that this will happen again when I'm meant to get my period or whatever. And but I'm on the pill, but the pill doesn't work straight away. And the most sad thing is I know this is going to happen to me again, but I'm just like, but when is it going to happen? Is it going to be when I'm on a plane or if I'm on my own? Because I was almost passing out from the pain. Yeah. So what if you're on your own and you can't call 000?
Yeah. Like that fear of the unknown coming. When? Like that's a daily stress.
Yeah.
That's so preventable. That it must be so incredibly frustrating.
I was frustrated because I'm on such a high from the hysterectomy because I'm not in that much pain compared to, but then after this cyst rupture, I was mad because I was like, don't take me back there. Like, I don't want to go back there.
Yeah.
And then I had to recover.
And it didn't have to happen.
I know. And then I had to recover. And then I spoke to my surgeon, and when he was like, no, we're not taking the ovary out. It's a perfectly good working ovary. And I'm like, have you seen my ovary on a...
Well, it's not.
You should see the photos that I wish I had them with me. You know, when they go inside and they take photos when you have surgery, it just looks like the white bit of an egg when you cook a fried egg. That's what it looks like, mangled and just Like, it doesn't look like an ovary anymore. It just looks like a splatter because it's been cut into that many times. How it's even still
Oh my
producing
God.
hormones, I don't know. When they showed me, I said, "What's that?"
No.
They go, "That's your ovary." And I go, "That?" And they go, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Isn't it meant to be round?" It's like all jagged.
Yeah. Next time you see that gyno, pop your phone on voice memo and go, I'm just putting this so I've got it, tell me again how perfectly healthy and normal that ovary is.
Yes.
Because I'm going to sue you in about 2 years.
I know.
I just need you to be really
Clear.
Professional right now and
Yeah.
tell me exactly what your medical diagnosis is to this mangled
I know.
that I can see is clearly mangled. But you're telling me it's a healthy, perfectly healthy, normal that's just ruptured. A cyst just ruptured again in it. But please tell me how. I just need this in verbal and write it down.
Because apparently it's still producing hormones for my body, so that's good enough. Even though it's like saying you have to walk through your front door every day to go to work to make money, but you're going to be stabbed in your back 5 times, and you're like, that's fine. That's what it feels like to me. It's like I know that I'm going to be in pain, but I got to go through the pain to get the hormones to live. That's what I feel like is happening to me.
Oh my God.
So you have to walk through the front door every day. You know you're about to be stabbed in the arm or leg, but you got to, because you got to go out there. You got to live your life. So that's what I feel like I do every day when I get up. It's like, oh, I might be in a lot of pain today. Don't know though. So, this is exciting. Let's see what today holds. Is it a cyst rupture? Who knows?
Who knows? Yeah. It's like a lucky dip. Who knows what today is going to be?
I know.
I'm just really grateful that you've come on and talked to me about this and just the recent stuff, especially with the cyst and the fact that you've had this, pretty amazing life-altering surgery and life-saving surgery only to be left with something inside that should have been taken out as well.
Yeah.
And there's so many women who will be listening to this, not just women who this may be happening to, but women who have children that this may end up happening to, or have friends that this is happening to, or the fact that it's not happening to you or anyone else, that you just care that this is happening to anyone at all.
And that's my goal, is to reach anyone that I can, and especially family members of people that are going through this, because you might see them on the couch and it looks like they're not doing nothing, but that's because they can't physically get up because it hurts. And I just want them to know that we feel just as bad in our heads that we can't cope. So if you can understand why we're feeling like this, it would be so much easier on us.
Yeah, and that's why the more we talk, especially to men, about what and in graphics.
Yes.
I love being graphic to men and telling them like the flooding that happens. I've got perimenopause at the moment, and I was extremely lucky to have a really ordinary, normal period life.
Yeah.
And then when I got perimenopause, it changed.
Yeah. It was like, not today.
And I'm like, now I just talk so openly and graphically with my male friends, especially when I'm going through the pain or the symptoms that happen with perimenopause. I make sure that they really know what's going on.
Yeah.
Because I love the look in their faces.
Yes.
Because they can't even imagine that kind of thing happening. But
God forbid.
Secondly, because I can also see them learning. You watch them gaining education and information that they're like, I had no idea about that. Tell your mates about it at the pub tonight.
And my partner is now an expert on endometriosis and PCOS.
Oh, I bet.
So he actually knows so much. And when he explains it, he was there and has seen it all. So now he's the one that knows probably more than me.
That's it. It's incredible because the grasp of knowledge that someone else can get by standing by someone and being through all of it without ever experiencing the physical pain, but knowing exactly what's going on. It's just power for me. The more men and partners of people who have these kind of incredibly debilitating, painful things that are happening, I can't believe we're living in such a modern world and we've still got such an archaic look at medicine when it comes to the female
I agree.
or AFAB bodies. So thank you so much for your time, your story, your honesty, your truth.
Thank you so much for having me on today.
You are so welcome. I really appreciate you coming on, and next time you come in, let's do it in person.
Absolutely.
So we can breathe all over each other.
I love
and
breath.
Spit into our microphones. And I love breath. I love lamp. Erin, you're adorable. Can you please give your puppy dogs kisses for me?
I will. I will give my 3 dogs little hugs and kisses from you. Thank you so much.
I love them. If you've liked this episode, please rate, review, subscribe. Let me know what you think. Erin, what's your Instagram handle?
Erin.Alicia.
I love that. That's your middle name.
Yeah,
really?
That's my middle name, yeah.
Good. All right, well, go and follow Erin if you haven't already, and I will talk to you, be in your ear holes next week. Please be kind to each other and just love, hold grudges if you will, but forgive everyone everything.
Amen.
Except for the people who are doing asshole things.
Amen.
Bye.